There are some of you right now that live alone, but you're not alone. Some of you are living with ghosts. Some of you are living with the ghost of your parents. Some of you are living with the ghosts of your grandparents. You are living with the ghosts of people who you did not close the door in regards to an issue. You had unfinished business with these people and you never finished the business before they left this world. And it could be an issue regarding parenting. It could be a sibling relationship. It could be a relationship with a spouse. You never got it closed before they left this world. And because of that, that sense of incompleteness has ruined your life since they left. Every time that their name is mentioned, you get all out of sorts. Every time a birthday comes around, Christmas or a holiday or something, when they're not around, you are just out of it. And some of you have missed this person not 1 year, not 2 years. They've missed this person for 10, 15, 20 years. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody grieves at their pace. However, when you see somebody who is still having the brand new fresh hurt from the loss of someone 5, 10, 15, 20 years after they're gone, they need to see a grief counselor, period. I hear people say, well, people grieve in their own way. There's nothing wrong with grieving your own way. I'm talking about people who are acting like this happened yesterday. People who are acting like they just left the funeral. And this happened years ago. They need therapy. I have both of my parents are gone. My mother has been gone. It's coming up on, it's been it's been over 30 years since my mother's been gone. And there are times where I find myself getting choked up. Yes, but I'm not running around here like it was November of 1987 when she left this world. I'm not running around here acting like that. You know how much shit has happened in the past 30 years since she's been gone? And my father has been gone for 2 years. He lived a long life, but he's been gone for 2 years. And a lot of this goes back, people, to a lot of people not understanding the cycle of life. There's going to be a time where we're all going to go. That's the way the life cycle is. But I know some grown people right now, some of them older than me, don't even want to talk about their own mortality, don't want to even make plans. Some of them have health problems, terminal health problems, and don't make any plans for their demise at all because they don't even want to have the conversation. It's crazy. And these are the same people, when you mention a certain name, they're tearing up and they're having a fit, just like they put that person in the ground yesterday. And part of it has a lot to do with guilt and regret. They have some unfinished business, some questions they should have asked, some conversations that they should have had. I have to admit that I had to have a serious conversation with my father, but this was years before he passed. This happened a few years before he passed. And it wasn't an ugly conversation, but now that I look back on it, I'm thankful that I did have it, regardless of what the outcome was. But it needed to be said and it needed to be addressed. So that way, when it was time for us to lay him to rest, at least I'm not walking around here 2 years after the fact, feeling a certain type of way, feeling that sense of incompleteness, because I'm like, you know what? What's done is done. The story is over. His story is over in this world. My mother's story is over in this world. Their story together is over in this world. And I'm okay with that. I have to be. But there are some of y'all right now that are living with the ghost of your parents. And you're feeling a certain type of way. Some of you probably didn't have good relationships with your parents. Probably some of you didn't even know who your parents were, or under the impression that somebody else was your parent and you're just finding out the truth. It could be a situation where, a parent was kept from you. I hate to say this, but there are a lot of women in this world. They could have been involved with more than one man during the time of your conception, and they never took the time to find out who the father really was and raised you under somebody else's roof because he was the better financial and secure option. He was more to offer. Who the actual father was probably wasn't available because he was probably married. He was probably incarcerated, probably in a mental institution, probably, addicted to some kind of substance. And so she figured in her mind, went into survival mode and said, you know what, I was dealing with this other person at the same time, but he's more stable, so I'm going to go ahead and say this child belongs to him. Am I saying that is right? No. I'm talking about a real situation. This has happened thousands of times over and over again, and it's probably going to happen today. This woman felt in her mind that she's going to raise her child in a stable household no matter what sacrifices. So fast forward to many years later, she passes away and dies. By that time, the child realizes who they are, and then they realize that either the father is not available or he's dead. So this child is walking around with this truth and nobody to hash it out with. Nobody. Mama's gone, and daddy's gone, didn't have a chance to get to know him. Okay, it happened, and I'm really sorry about that. But see, that's not a normal situation, and this person needs to realize they needed to be guided professionally on how to move on, because what's going to happen is all of that frustration and aggravation and everything else is going to reflect in their behavior, and a lot of people will start acting recklessly with their own families because of the confusion in their mind. There's nobody to have a conversation with. There's nobody to confront. That's unfinished business, people. That's unfinished business. That's how come it's always good when a person is around and you have something that's pressing on your heart so badly, no matter how difficult it is, be respectful. But go ahead and hash it out, because you don't know. That person might not even know that you feel the way you feel. They might not have a clue. Now, if you're one of those type of people where you're not approachable and they don't come to you, well, that's on you. Don't turn around and blame that person because they didn't come talk to you. Ain't nobody could talk to your little stuck-up ass. Ain't nobody can approach you. So don't blame them because they didn't say anything to you. It tickles me when I come across people who are hard asses like that. So stuck up, noses all stuck up in the sky, unreachable, unable to communicate with them. They don't listen to you. Everything's about them, narcissistic, everything else. And then when something goes down, the first thing they come out their mouth and say, well, nobody told me. Nobody can tell you shit anyway on a normal basis. So why would anybody tell you anything in an emergency? You didn't listen then, so they didn't expect you to listen now. That's why they went on ahead and handled it without you. That's why you're left out of a lot of things. You're left out of a lot of things. But anyway, back to the person who was suffering. They've got that built up inside of them and it's unresolved and there's nobody to talk to. This is where counseling comes in. This is where professional services are required. You're going to have to go see somebody, because you might be on this earth for a long time to come, and you probably have a family you need to raise, and more family and more family. You have to be an example to those people that are coming up behind you, and you can't do it when you're running around here unhinged every time there's a birthday of the person who passed, or every time that person's name is mentioned. That's not a good way to go. You can't turn around and have fresh pain of something that happened many years ago. You act like it happened just now, just 10 minutes ago, and it happened like 10, 15 years ago, 5, 10, 15 years ago, and you act like it just happened 5 minutes ago. That's not healthy. Go see somebody. Just saying.